Hi, I'm Dan and welcome to this Let's Build Elements video. Now in these videos I often pick a website and we rebuild parts of it in Elements, and this is a great way to learn how things are built. Now I came across this site the other day. It's really nice and clean and simple, and I thought it's a great example of a nice simple grid. It's responsive, so it changes the amount of columns and things. So I'll rebuild this in Elements, and hopefully if you've not really used the grid before, you'll pick up some basics. So I've already downloaded some of these graphics so we can get started. I'll pop this over to the side and let's start a new project in Elements. And we get a blank canvas, and I've got my node browser here because I often like to see that while I'm working. And let's get our components up. Now the first thing I'm going to do is drop on a container, and on the spacing I'm going to set some padding so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. Let's set the background color on this. I'm going to pick my brand color because that's quite close to this blue. It's a little bit more electric. So right off the bat, we could go into the theme studio and what I'm going to do, let's duplicate this brand. Oh, that's because I'm in a development version. Don't do that. Let's do it up here. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to pick this color, and it's going to create me a gradient of colors based off of that. So let's pick my new color. Probably want that one. Okay, that's pretty good. Now let's get on with the grid. I drop a grid item in, and next up I'm going to want some containers because each one of these is a container. So I'm going to use my nifty shortcut, which is Command Option F, and that shows my quick open window, and we want a container there. There we go. And what I can do, I can just Command C or Command D on these to duplicate them, and I'm going to select all of them. And now actually what we should do is let's create a bit of space on this grid. So I've selected the grid. I'm going to go to columns and rows, and we're going to add a bit of spacing in between them. And if it goes on to the next line, we'll obviously want some vertical spacing as well. So if I copy this, there we go. You can see it wraps onto the next line. All right, and the grid by default is set up to 4 columns. So we can change this down the line, but as we're copying this, we'll go with this. And I'm going to select my container, and I just want a bit of space on the edge. Now, when this page gets bigger, there is space, but as you can see, as it comes down here, there's no padding. So I'm going to select the container, and on the edges here I'm going to go to spacing, and I'm just going to put a little bit of padding, say 5, and that just brings it in so that the edge of the browser window never butts up right against here. Now let's have a look. I've got no resources, so I've downloaded a few of these, and let's get these into the app. And now I'm going to start on the first container here, and I'm going to change the background. Let's go to static, and I'm going to pick this image. Let's start with image 1. And we can't see anything yet because I haven't got an image in here. I haven't got anything. There's a drop zone in the container, so we can't see it just yet. But let's, what have we got? We're going to drop an image in there. Let's drop that in. Oops, let's drop that in there. Okay, and we need to, so now we've got our container with our background image, and we've got an image over the top of it, which is for the logo. So let's drop in logo 1. Boom. And so now you can see this is starting to pad out some more. And now we really need to set the height on these, and there's probably quite a few ways we could do this. But at the moment, let's go, let me switch it to theme, and I could pick a height. We can just do this for now. And what I'm going to want, this image is currently butted up to the edges. So we want to put some, we can either put some padding on the container to bring this in, or we can put some padding or margin on the image. Let's put it on the container, just so we've got, there we go. We can keep it consistent here. Maybe a little bit more, 7. All right, so this is starting to look pretty good here. I'm just working on this first one because then I can duplicate this container over to these, or create this as a global. So we want rounded edges, so I'm going to go to my borders. Let's switch that on, and the radius, we probably want XL. Now, there's a nice thing you can do here, because I can't actually see what the border looks like. So what I can do, we can turn off this show selection for now, so that I can see, while I have this selected, and you can see it selected here, we can actually see what we're doing, which is a nice little thing. Now, I probably wouldn't want to leave this on all the time, because I don't know exactly what I've got selected, but it is great for when you're doing stuff like this. And there are shortcuts. You can find the shortcuts in the Elements menu to switch these on and off. So let's switch that back on. Now we've got our curve on there, and that's looking pretty good. Now, I did notice on here this kind of darkens as you hover into it. So let's get that going as well. And let's see, we could probably, we could do this a few ways. Actually, we could do a background overlay on here, and we'll switch it to hover. And let's go to black. Now I'm just setting the, I'm just setting the start phase now, and we want that on 0. And then the end, when you hover on it, let's go black and there, and the hover maybe 30%, maybe a little bit more. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so that's darkening, that's nice. We could go a step further with this, and we could actually blur the background on hover. So what we could do, it says to everything at the moment. And the end, let's set the end, the backdrop filter. Oh, no, we don't want that, because that is, if this was transparent, then it would blur what's behind it. We actually want the blur here. So now this is looking not quite what we want, because it goes outside the edge of the container, and it blurs our logo. So there's a couple of things we need to do here. Apply effect, we only want it to apply to the background. So now this is looking pretty good. Let's switch the show selection off. And now we've got another problem. This is, while the logo is not being blurred, the outer edges are. So what we need to do, we just need to go to the layout, and it's because the overflow is set to none, and we want the overflow hidden. So anything that overflows outside of this container will be cropped. Let's switch that off again. There we go. So this is looking pretty nice. So we, I know this isn't the same as this. Let's just knock that down a little bit. But it is quite a nice effect. And we could do a bit more. We could transform this on hover a little bit as well. Again, just on the background. And we could scale this a little bit. So there we go. The it kind of scales up as we roll in. So this is starting to look very nice. So we've gone beyond what they've got here. And arguably, I think this looks a bit nicer and a bit fancier with this blur on here. So this is looking nice. Let's just call this, let's just call this, hang on a minute. Let's call this company. I'm going to get rid of these other containers. So what we could do now, I could duplicate this, Command D, and then I could customize it. Or we could turn this into a global. So let's convert it to a global. And now let's drop this in here. Yeah, we'll get a few of these in. So this is nice. And I'm using a global because it means any changes I make to this will update all the other ones. So rather than me having to select all of them, because now I'm thinking, well, perhaps I wanted a a border on this, or you know, let's put a border on here, and you can see this is adding a border to all of the objects, so I don't have to go around select them all or just do one at a time. It's doing it on all of them. But let's reset that. So that's globals, really useful there. So but we need to customize these even though they're globals. And if I drop in, let me show you an example. If I drop in a logo here, it's going to change all of them, and that's not what we want. Now, if you're already using Elements, you might know this, but this is, if you don't know this, this is a great feature. So what we're going to do here, this is in a global, and we want a different image here. And this little link appears on globals, and we want to break the link because I don't want this image to be shared. And now, if I drop in the new logo, boom, it's a different one. And we'll do the same here. We'll break the link. And where's logo 3? Boom. And the same here, we want to break the link, and where's my logo 4? So that's looking good. And this is, we've only broken the link on the image, and that means if we change any other values in here, say if I come down to here, and we don't want that one, let's do some filters, for example. Like if I blur this, it will blur all of them. So this is really handy, you know, or if I change the size of them, whatever, but they're all unique, but they're sharing those values. Right, we need to do the same for the background because I need different images in here. So we're going to go to background. I'm going to break that link on the second one. Let me just select that so we can see what we're doing. And we want the second image. Drop that there. That's looking pretty good. And we'll do the same here, break the link. And what do we want? We want image. Oh, no, we want image 3. Sorry. Drop that in there. And this one, we'll break the link. And we want image 4. Now, what I would do, if I'm doing a lot of this, a nice thing to do is to rearrange your workspace, because you can drag all these icons out, and we could put this here, and this would be a lot more useful. Or I could pop it down here as well, so I could just drop the images up quickly like that. And this is what I tend to do. I kind of move my layout around depending on how I'm working. You know, and you can save those workspaces in here, but we'll save that for another time. But this is looking good. So now we've created this grid, and it's got this nice effect on it. Let's hit preview in the browser. Yeah, so this is looking really slick, and this was very quick to do. Let's close that. Still need to see this. Now we do have an issue here where on the other, you know, on an iPhone it would look like this, and that is not what we want, because when you scale this one it comes down to 2. So let's select our grid, and Elements, it uses Tailwind, and it's a mobile first framework, so really we should design this at mobile level first. But let's set this to 2, and now my grid is set to 2 everywhere. And again, that's not what I want, but that's okay because we can fix this. So now when I get up to, let's check what they did. Oh, so they do go to 3 and then they go to 4. So when we get to this size, what we could do, we can press this blue dot here, and this will override the responsive controls at this when we get to this point. So we want to go to 3 columns there, and then when we get to this next one, we want to override that again, and we want to go to 4. Or do we? No, let's put that back to 3 and say when we get to here, we want to go to 4. So now as I scroll back down through this, you can see these are starting to change, which is pretty cool. That's working great. And because these were globals, we can just duplicate these, or drag in new ones. We want that in the grid. So yeah, let's just drag in a few more of these. And then I could go through and customize these again, but they're all using the same effect. So this is really nice. And you can obviously tweak the sizes and things on the different sizes here to get the exact effect you want. But I'll delete those because that's a bit off-putting having those all the same. Yeah, so that's building that. You know, this is all pretty standard stuff here. And then we've got this little heading at the top here, and there's many ways you could build this up. But I'm thinking we could probably put a flex here, and we might want a divider. And in our flex, let's just create we create a bit of spacing here. Actually, I'm selecting the container, and I'm going to set some layout spacing, like a gap between each thing you put in here. So you can see that automatically does that. So if I added, if I duplicated this flex, it automatically puts that 5 spacing between everything, you know, and I could just change it. So this is nice if you've got a container and you want things evenly spaced. You don't need to put them in a flex or do other stuff. You can just use these basic controls here, which is really nice. All right, we got I need some text in here as well. Let's drop that in, and that says tiny limited dot. Okay, and we want this, that's, again, this is covering the text here. So what I can do, I can turn that show outlines off. It's a great little feature, that. I'm making this heavier. I might make the font a little bit bigger. And we want the color here. Now, I don't think, no, what we'll do, I'll go white. I'll go white on this, and we could pick I could create another palette and pick this, but I'm just going to go with white because I think white looks pretty good. You know, you could, as always, you could continue to spend time and refine this. For the border, I'm going to go white on here as well. Now there looks like there's an extra chunky line under there. Hang on a minute, let's make, yeah. That divider could do with being a little bit thinner. There we go, a hairline. And then on this text, I'm wondering about putting a border on the bottom of that, whether that would work. We don't want any curve on there. And what we don't want, currently that selection is running the full width, and we just need it to be the width of the text. So it is on auto. I wonder. So you probably want to put this to be the width of the text there. I'm not sure. We could manually pick it here and get it to be about right. But I wonder if, I was wondering if there was, if we set that to auto, whether there was something on spacing we could do. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. So there's always multiple ways to do things in Elements. This is currently just set to fill the width, but when I set the margin to auto, it's bringing it back down there. So it's the auto thickness there. It's on the borders. I'm going to customize that. I probably just only want one there. Good. So this is looking pretty good. We're probably want to move that up a little bit actually when I look at that. Spacing. Let's put a little bit of padding in here. Ooh, too much. Too much. 3, 2. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Might just create a little bit more space. Boom. Yeah, this is looking good. Let's just save that. Save that on the desktop. Got some text up the top here. This is easy stuff. And we can increase the weight, set the color to white. And want that bigger. Go one more. I think this website is actually bigger than we're working on. So what we could do, we go to the theme studio, and the screens, we could turn on the XL size. Super. So that gives us a bigger canvas to work with there. You know, we could set the width to match whatever their site is. We could look into that. You know, you can change the width of the site here. Again, which you might not be aware of, so you can customize all those breakpoints. But that's looking pretty good. And now this is scaling down here. If you weren't aware, because I'm running to the edge, we're scaling the editor. So especially if I was on a laptop and I was working like this, then I could still see the whole site. Really handy feature that, and you can always check down here. That's why it's in orange, just to make it stand out a little bit more, so you know your site is scaled. So there we go. Yeah, that's pretty good. It would be fairly easy to set up this menu as well. I could do that. We'll drop that in. What I might do, yeah, because I think we got a lot of padding on the top of there. That's on the container. We want the spacing. Let's turn. Now we've got this design going. We do not need that much padding at the top. Let's set that to 5. So background, we don't need a background on there. Gone. On the logo, we want a logo. Now I'll set it to a drop zone, and I've got the SVG for the logo here. So let's go add an SVG, and where's my resources? There's my logo. It's a little bit big. They've set. Let me remove that. Let's quickly update this, because I think they've set a size in here. Let's quickly update. Yeah, see, they've got a width and height here, and you don't want that in an SVG. So let's get rid of that one, and let's try this with that little change to it. Oops. Oh, hang on. I've deleted the SVG. Let's pop that back in there, and let's try this. Okay, this is much better, and that is now should be, because the sizing's not set in the file, it should now be set in there. Excellent. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's bring this down so we can see what we're doing here, because we're copying this menu. Let's call this homepage companies, and we're going to need some more pages. Let's call this one about, and we'll call this one investors, and we need more, and we'll just throw that in there. Right, and then we just need to style this, which is very straightforward. Again, we'll go with white. And you can see the default ones have switched to this, and the active there is still set to black, and that's why this is black. But let's set that to white as well. And the default, we could knock them back a little bit. So the other ones that aren't selected, the pages you're not on, are set to that. It's a little bit different from the main site. but that's okay. Size, make them smaller. And we need to right align those. That's looking good. Okay. We need a button up here. That's fine. Oh, let's do the shortcut Command Shift F. Let's go button, and I can drop a button straight in here. And what does that say? Get in touch. Good. Borders, let's have a look. Background, let's set the background to nothing, and then it goes white. So start, I'm going to switch it to the color we want it, the starting color, and then set it to opacity 0. End is white, 100%. Nice, that's looking good. Borders, static. Width, probably, I'll switch it to the manual, and probably 1 pixel by the looks of things. And that obviously wants to be white as well. Let's turn off the show selection. All right, looking good. And we probably want a smaller radius on there. That looks a bit big. That's looking pretty good. Font and text, I'd say the weight needs to be a bit heavier, like the other ones. Letter spacing, we'll space it out a bit, and we'll make the text a bit smaller. This is looking good. Spacing, I think there's a bit more padding in here, so we can easily do that. I can just move the padding, more padding on the button. I think more. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Want some spacing there, so we could turn that off and put a bit more margin on that side just to give us some space there. Oh, yes, well, that doesn't look so good. What color? Oh, he's using the blue color. So here on the, we want to go to font, and on the hover, we want that new color we set, and we'll pick that. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's not an exact copy, but it's starting to shape up. It's starting to shape up. That's looking pretty good. Make that a bit smaller. That is looking good. We could create some more space here. You could either put some padding on this text, or maybe we'll just do it on the menu there. We'll just put a bit more below it to push this down. Or in fact, actually, it looks like there's more space between both of those. So let's just put it on the heading. Spacing, enable, and we'll put some margin on there. 10 either side. Boom. Could go a little bit more. You can play around with this stuff. Okay, that's looking pretty good, really. And it's not taken too long to copy this. I would say that border, I think the opacity is down a little bit on that. Yeah. Might be hard to see on the video, but yeah. So this is really nice, and you could continue this website out and easily build the rest of this. Super simple site to build. Yeah, I could go on and put the rest of this together, but I won't, because this is I think we've built enough. We've copied all of this in under half an hour, easy. Yeah, and this let's go and view this in the browser, because that's always a bit nicer. So yeah, this works nicely. We'd have to style this. I didn't get round to that, but it's just a matter of tweaking the settings. This looks good, and obviously the responsiveness works. That looks good too. Let's flick, so that site is wider, so we could go and change that in our theme studio. Yeah, and you can play around with this, move these together. Yeah, but that is pretty good. I hadn't built that site before. That was just off the top of my head, winging it and hoping that it all worked out, and I think that's pretty successful. I will post this file, this project, so you can play around with it. I'll post it along with this video on the forum. So you can dive right in and just see how I have this set up. Many ways to do the same thing. There'll be, you know, better ways to do this, or different ways to do it. And you can play around further. I know I said I was going to talk more about the grid item, and I've really only shown the basics there. But it's very easy with these. We could switch them all to be grid items. And currently they're taking up one column. But this one, if we break the link and I wanted it to take up two, then I could... and you know, we could break the link and it could take up 2 rows as well. We'd need to set the spacing on there, but it's all good fun. Yeah, you know, I could break the link on this one and set that to full width. We've got a bit of work to do to tidy that up, but it's very flexible stuff. You can do what you want. Let's unbreak that. Yeah, really good stuff. I hope you found this video useful and learned a few bits and pieces. It's always a great way to learn how to use the tools in Elements by trying to rebuild other sites. And because these tools that we include are so powerful and really let you get down to the raw values, you can pretty much build anything. So, all right. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.